Just click OK that you are happy that I'm recording. Okay. All right. Okay, Nant Amal. We give a challenge for Nant, but it's okay. So ek wil net vir julle deel hoe hierdie Job experience ek het geervaar het of the learning that I got out of it. Geweet ek het deur 'n Job experience gegaan, maar nie geweet and really didn't understand the concept behind it of wat is dit? Dit weet net baie swaar gekry. So when Satan ambush comes to you on your worst day of life, that is regtig soos 'n ambush that you find yourself, you know, voel asof alles die mekaar of in mekaar val of die hele wêreld het gestop. So what is an ambush? It is a surprise attack by people lying in wait in a concealed position. So that is the dictionary's definition, okay? An ambush is something you don't see coming, although it has been secretly planned. It can take up to years, okay? So in the Bible, there are 3 different animals that represent 3 levels of attack on a person, and that person can get it. So we all know a bear is an attacking animal, a lion is an attacking animal, and a serpent is an attacking animal. So these are the 3 animals in the Bible that represents when someone is going to be attacked or is under attack, okay? So the bear, it is something you can see coming, right? It is an attack representing a bear is what people do. So sometimes you can see what someone is going to do, and that's what the bear represents. When it is a lion, because a bear is a big animal, you can see the animal, you can see it coming on, okay? The lion is an attack, you can hear. Because when you, just imagine when you hear a lion's roar, jy kan hom vir myle ver hoor. So it can present when what people are saying. A lion's roar can be heard miles and miles away. Gaan Google it net in your eie tyd in terms of gaan luister net, and if you just be quiet and you incline your ear to hear how a lion roars, can you net, just like something awakens within you when you hear that lion, okay? Then there is the serpent. You don't see it coming, nor do you hear it coming, but it is something that is concealed. The serpent attack is the attack from the enemy of what he is saying and doing behind the scenes in preparation for the ambush he is preparing. So even if you go think about a snake, skielik kom 'n snake net aan, and skielik word jy net ge-attack. So that's the 3 animals in the Bible that represents when someone is under attack. Satan's agents cannot do anything unless he has a human being to work through it, right? We all know that. The enemy is limited without people. So think about when you're under attack, it could be your family, your husband, your wife, your children, whoever it is, mense in die kerk. He has no voice unless the person is speaking, okay? He has no authority unless the person gives it to him, knowingly or unknowingly. He has no power to do his works unless the person give it, which is that open door we always refer to, or a legal right. So now I'm going to just take you up into what has been standing out for me around the Job experience, or sometimes it is a season, all right? Ons almal weet daar kom die goeie seisoene en die slegte seisoene. So this experience of Job is focused on Job 2, verse 11 to 13. Satan's 3 Ds in the book of Job. It speaks about death, it speaks about divorce, and it speaks about division. Death of someone you love and care about. Job lost all his 10 children, right? And the way it happened was, hy warrelwind het mos gekom, né? So do you have a spiritually dead child or children or husband or family? And ek kan daai boksie tik, want ons almal weet Robert's spirit was completely dead. So Satan will bring that and he will use that angle because I might have not experienced a physical death, but there was a spiritual death of a child or someone in my family tree. Okay. It also brings divorce. It is not mentioned in the word, so don't get me wrong, but there's something happened between Job and his wife, right? In their marriage. Because she said to him, "Gee jou God op." She cursed. She said, "Curse your God." So that must have put something immense, like an immense strain on his marriage. Hy het al die klomp uitslaan, siekte en goed wat hy gehad het. Nou moet hy nog met die vrou so goed ook gedeel het. So it also brings divorce. It brings separation because there's something that has taken place in that marriage. And again, I can relate to that. The vision it brings, Satan uses that as well. Job had friends, right, that were coming to so-called to comfort him. So Job's friends were creating discourse. Discourse means a debate, a conversation of division. Want die een van hulle het eintlik regtig vir hom kom bemoedig. Die een het hom eerste gesê wat dit skiep na 'n vrou gekyk, daai tipe van goed. And you will find that up until chapter 40, the 40th chapter of Job, het hy deur hierdie division van die so-called friends gehad wat hom moes kom bemoedig het. Okay? So I'm going to cover those 4 friends and wat hulle elkeen gerepresented, and that you can find in Job 32. I never knew this until I did the research. There were 3 older friends and there was 1 younger friend, and that one younger one was Job 32 verse 6. And the 4 friends represented 4 arguments. Nee, hulle het elkeen 'n different argument gegee. So the first one was the spiritual argument. You, Job, must have sinned, so therefore God is judging you. And here I want to say, whatever I'm going to share tonight is, ons moet gaan stil sit ook en besef wat ons woorde, because that stood out for me. Wat se woorde ons baie keer mense ook engage in, die wat ons weet wat under attack is, wat deur 'n season gaan van attack. So he said Job must have sinned, né? Job, you must have sinned, right? So therefore God is judging you. So daar kom hy het eintlik vir Job gejudge when he makes up something, okay? Then the second argument was the moral argument, accusing Job of looking at a woman in a wrong way in his eyes. Okay? Ons is geneig om te sê seker maar dit gedoen of seker maar dat gedoen, né? The justice argument. You, Job, have been mistreating people. You have lots of money, you could be judgment there, and don't give to the poor. But in Job 23 to 26, it states that he does give to the poor. And then they say he is self-righteous when he starts to defend himself. So again, the justice argument, they're trying to justify why he's going through that season. Okay? And then the fourth one is the rational argument. Because God judged you, you are bad, and therefore you are going through this. Again, this situation, just go read in those chapters around wanneer die vriende, die verse waar die vriende moet praat en vir hom so-called moet kom en encourage. But this really stood out for me, en vir my was dit net, Here, maak my stil en gee vir my goddelike wysheid, so when someone else I know is going through a Job experience or a season, I don't want to become one of these 4 friends. Ek wil nie iemand wees wat gaan sê, jy het gesondig. Ek wil nie iemand wees wat gaan sê, jy het gedol of jy het iemand weer skief aangekyk, jy het sonde in jou lewe nie. You know, sometimes we really have to watch what we say, and dit is iets wat regtig vir my uitgestaan het. So these arguments had nothing to do with comforting Job. But the words say they came to comfort him in Job 2:11, but they did nothing of that sort. They became friendly accusers. We need to be careful how we deal with people who are going through a Job season, experience, or trouble at any level of their lives. The 3 D's, wat ek vir julle voorheen gewys het, but the death, divorce, and division, die equal separation in common. So if you go look at death, separated from the children, divorce separated from the wife, and division also brings separation. You're not in connection anymore. And I can honestly say I can connect on all 3 of those levels. God always multiplies, but Satan always divides. And go read John 6, 1 to 14. Daar is die story van die vissies en die brode. Ons almal ken die well-known scripture. It was multiplied. God never brought division, right? And then Acts 2:47. There's ook 'n story van multiplication. So God multiplied the bread, God multiplied the fish, and God added to the church, which is the one in Acts 2 verse 47. When Satan's ambush become your worst day of your life, what is the worst day of your life? It is the Job hour of testing. It is in Revelations 3 verse 10, we hear of that, they call Revelations the apocalypse. So this vertel goed wat nog gebeur is a foundation verse to what Job was experiencing, called the hour of trial, of testing. It might not be an hour, but it could be a season, it could be a year, it could be 2 years. Who knows how long Job went through? Because if you look, there's over 41 chapters or 41 chapters of Job. And nowhere is it recorded, and one can just imagine, how long this thing went on. But the friends they came to accuse him in chapter 14. So there are hours in the Bible Jesus was talking about, which is part of the where he says, the certain hours, which is in Matthew 20 verse 3 to 9. The 3rd hour represents prophetically 9 o'clock the morning. The 5th hour represents 12 o'clock the afternoon. The 9th hour is 3 o'clock the afternoon. And the 11th hour is 5 o'clock in the evening. So again, very personal reflection for me, my hour of testing. Satan attacks are planned months or even years in advance. What I am going through is it's not just random by happening. Now, think of your history of doing things in the kingdom, and dit is alles wat ek in my kop en afgespeel het. Doing things, reaching things for the kingdom, the hours you took in researching, doing teachings, understanding, getting revelation of hidden things. Those are all contributing factors that is playing out in terms of, what have you done? And that's what ek gesê het, Here, wat het ek verkeerd gemaak? When is it going to stop? And then I had to quiet down in my spirit as well to establish the Job experience, and I had to literally go back and say, yes, you look at all the things that I've been doing, and as amper so die enemy wil my letterlik kom uithaal het, and that's how I felt, and that's how this whole thing played out. So the hour of testing of the enemy has 3 stages, okay? In John 10 verse 10 is a direct link to Job, okay? Number 1, first stage, or stage 1, not in any particular order, is to kill. Job killed all his, Satan killed it. He wiped out Job's inheritance or his children, right? Hulle het almal gesterf. Now imagine losing 10 children all at the same time. Steal Job's livestock, his cattle was stolen. Again, all of it, okay? He destroyed, Job's health was under attack. And here, and again, I can say, for me, it's about personal experience, and that's why this is so important that I want to bring this message across, because for me, it was, I can relate to everything. Now I understand what a Job experience is, because ons almal ken Job het swaar gekry en hy het deur 'n klomp goed gegaan, but there is, I've got, for me, it's just now, wow, I can relate. Why? It's a personal thing. It's going to become a personal testimony, and then I know. So again, I can relate to the killing. I can relate to the stealing. I can, and for me, it's not just about Robert, it's my finances, it's my prosperity, it's even me spiritually, how I felt it was robbed, I was stolen of where I used to operate. Now that I'm going through this Job experience, I was not operating at that level where I was. And it was frustrating because I couldn't sometimes pick up the Bible. I couldn't sometimes, and I had to push through. There are days where I couldn't even pray. I was just crying in the presence of the Lord and saying, Here, gee vir my krag, Here, gee vir my genade, Here, gee vir my sterkte, that I can just persevere and push through whatever it is you are allowing at this point in time in my life. And it was not nice, and it still isn't nice to go through it. But for me, it's about, I will be able to tell someone when you are going through a Job experience, and not warn someone, but I can explain from a personal testimony point of view. Because there's a scripture, but ook mos sê, what is it over? You defeat them by the word of your testimony. Yeah? So I know what I'm going through is going to help someone else. Not just a mom whose child is on drugs, but also, what am I doing? What did I do during the time? Yes, I was angry at God. And yes, I wanted nothing to do with him. But again, came quickly to saying, I'm going to repent. En waar ek net geskree het, party dan gesê, Here, waar is U? You know, and until I read through and until I had this Job experience, or not experience, the Job revelation, did I become more quiet, waiting until He will tell me what is, you know, until I find or experience in my spirit something is shifting, right? So again, I'm saying it's not just stealing Robert spiritually, but it's also about stealing financial, being robbed of your financial, but not benefits, but you guys know what I'm saying. So it's financially as well. Emotionally, I feel I was robbed, you know, psychologically, I feel I was robbed. So on all levels, as from a human being's part, all of this I can relate to. And destroy, yes, jobs, health was constantly, it was the whole time under attack. And Lord help me, ek het al vir die Here gesê, wat 'n sonde ek in my lewe, let this just pass. And then again, I had to come to that point where I realized, but this is all that I'm going through. Job went through this, and we all know Job ended, the scripture ended with, hy het weer alles teruggekry, and dit is waar ek aan vashou, right? That this too will pass, and you know, baie mense het skrifte gegee en encouragement gegee, and to be honest with you guys, sometimes I felt like, man, ek het nie nou lus om dit te worry, you know, because you are caught in that thing, and ek is nie skaam om dit te sê nie, because if I don't say it, dan gaan ek pretend ek het alles aan vasgehou. En ek het nie aan alles vasgehou nie, because when you go through it, it is hard. When you go through it, it is tough. And that's why I know God will come through where I am going to tell someone it's okay. And that's why I could say to Karen last week, it's okay, the last time we were together, you know? So for me, it's about relating to everything that Job went through, relating to every phase and trial that he went through. I can now say, and it's not over, this by long shot not over, but I know I can relate, and I have an understanding. So attacks of the enemy at this kind of level can be planned years in advance without your knowledge. The hour of testing, it is an attack on your integrity, and I can relate to that again. Job held fast to his integrity and never blamed or denied God, no matter what. And that is where I started. When I got that revelation, you know, I started to change. Ek het nie meer gevra when he, you know, yes, surely he felt abandoned. There's a sense of hopelessness, distress, despondency, gloom, discouragement, pain, unhappiness. Gaan lees dit in Job 3 vers 10, and that's why I didn't feel bad anymore when I went through all of that, or when I've experienced all of that. it happened to Job, and that was my encouragement. Job had up and down experiences throughout his journey. He rebuked his so-called friends in Job 12. Then he also speaks of the power of God and how he will be vindicated, which means hy gaan nou weer wen in Job 13 as well. But when the very next chapter, he speaks of the finality of death, Job 14. So daar sien ek 'n grafiek in Job se lewe. And to me, it was like, yes, God, I relate to all of that. I have had that gloom. I have that despondency. I've had that discouragement. And then voel jy ook daar soos 'n yo-yo up and down, you know. Yes, ek praat van die power of God, and I know what is inherited in me. But again, I want to highlight Job went through the stages. And that's why it's for me and again, I'm going to say, for me, it's about this experience. I didn't like it. I still don't like it, but I am going through it because I know there's positivity at the end. So on chapters 16 and 17, Job is experiencing a low time again and says God shattered him. He's exhausted. He's worn out. He's weary. He's drained. He's running on empty. And then in Job 70, he says, my spirit is broken. And again, I can relate to this, but I am at the same time encouraged by it because someone went through it. It is nie verniet nie, you know, someone went through it. And for me, it's like, and again, all these words, ek kan julle sê, daar is daar waar ek het gevoel het, en ek gaan nie liggie, waar ek met niemand niks volgens te doen gehad het nie. I felt hopeless. Ek het gedink die Here hoorie vir my nie. Ek het gesê ek is klaar met die Here. Ek het gesê ek wil die ministry opgee. Ek het gesê ek gaan niks meer doen nie. But again, at the same time, I am drained, yes. I am running on empty on all levels of my being. Met Robert wat op die drugs was. Like I shared, I think whenever met my kar se al die kies moet in die syf elke aand gesit gewees het, etc. So it was a running on empty. You are alert 24/7, and that drains a person. It tires you. And again, I will say it's okay, because I don't think I would be normal if I don't go through all of that, and I haven't experienced that. And again, I'm saying relate to Job, but because I know I'm also encouraged by it, because I know there are things that are coming through. There's a positive side to it. Okay, I think that is it from my side. Ek gaan stop sharing. Is dit iets interessant? Is dit iets wat julle kon geleer het? Okay, sorry, there's one more. Sorry, my PC was frozen. Let me just share one more slide with you guys, and then I'm done. We've also got like a couple of minutes left. So the last one is Job also declares that he belongs to God. His hand is heavy despite his groaning. Job declares the search for wisdom is harder. Again, I can relate. Job's experience humiliation. At the end, Job was restored. There is purpose in your pain. That's my encouragement. Sometimes God's preparation comes packaged in pain. It was very hard for me to understand that concept, but I can relate to it. Maybe the pain God is using through us before he can do something through us. I'm going to say that again. Ook vir my 'n paar keer gevat om dit te laat sink into my spirit. Maybe the pain that you're experiencing, that you are going through, is something God is using before he can do something through you. Okay? The stronger the pain could be an indication how greater the purpose would be. There's a purpose to what you are facing. There's a purpose to what you are going through. What I see as a failure, because that too I felt, a failure on all levels, is a foundation. All right? Pain is an instrument in God's hand so that it can teach you to persevere, the ability to abide. These are quite deep and profound things, and it took me a while I'm going to stop sharing. It took me a while to just grasp it. It took me a while to just go through it and to understand it, etc. So I hope you guys have found this interesting. It's an eye opener. And I hope I'm going to post the link on YouTube. I'm going to send it in the chat, and I'm also going to send the teaching. So yeah, like I said, it's only 11 slides. Ek hardloop goed in my tyd. Ons het 4 minute oor.